transformed into the life of other beings still, be they ever so humble, be they merely bacteria or worms, because they in their turn are a sort of yeast from which life continues to go on. So now, all those of you here who are at any time engaged in cooking must become aware of the high dignity of this art and of the possibilities in it for yoga and self-realization. No more must you ever throw something together to stop the gnawing feeling. There is no point whatsoever in cooking without giving yourself adequate time for it. Because you will find that time spent on other things, to such an extent that it affords no time for cooking, is a way of wasting your life on abstract fripperies instead of things of true material consequence. Anybody who cooks, roll the vegetables in your hands. Look how exquisite they are. When you slice, say, a purple onion, look at the lines, the patterns, in what is then displayed. Look at a fish laid out in front of you. The wonderful music of its scales. What a beautiful thing it is, the way the bones are formed. When you slice meat, look at the marbling in it, the quality, the color. Relish all that, sniff all that. And if you love those raw materials, you will be able to cook, because cooking is a process of loving. It is loving, it is a transformation through love of these raw materials into assimilable and truly edible form. And a person, therefore, who is engaged in the ritual of cooking will never make the mistake of hurrying. Now, there are moments in cooking where you have to have your wits about you, because timing is terribly important, as in boiling an egg, as in making a souffle, as in making certain sauces, as in frying with butter, where the butter has to be at a certain temperature and mustn't be allowed to burn. Cooking certain kinds of pastry requires perfect timing. But perfect timing and hurrying are two completely different things. Hurrying in cooking is always a failure. Instant coffee is a punishment for people who are in too much of a hurry. There is only one way of cooking coffee that is perfect, which is jungle coffee, where you put coffee into cold water and but you see, you've got to watch it. And the moment it begins to come to the boil, you turn it off. It must never boil. And then you stir it and you put the lid back on the pan to keep the heat in, and you allow a little time for the grounds to settle. And then pour it off through a fine strainer, in case any grounds should be left through, and you have got absolutely perfect coffee. But it takes your presence of mind. It takes watching to do it. As so also does boiling eggs, which is a very subtle art. Forcing your attention on things, that's not the way to concentrate. I think the attitude of concentration is very well shown if you watch the conduct of the Japanese tea ceremony. The whole idea of which is that the simple act of serving powdered green tea in hot water, which is whisked, can be so utterly delightful, and that the contemplation of the bowls and the bamboo instruments that are used in this procedure can give such aesthetic relish that it is worth dallying over and spending 2 or 3 hours just doing that. So in the same way, you will find that very good cooks have extremely interesting kitchens. That they will, for example, have the kind of kitchen where there is not one single utensil, not one jar or saucepan, which is not an object of beauty. Such people will go out of their way to collect Mexican bowls because they are so warm feeling and lovely. To have the most beautiful jars. For example, they will buy the wonderful jars that are made for use in labs with the ground glass stoppers that fit very snugly. Beautiful functional shapes. They are much better than the ordinary kind of glassware for such purposes that is served in supermarkets. Go to a lab manufacturer and buy all sorts of bottles and beautiful instruments. They are perfect for use in the kitchen. So you find that